Hola, soy yo, Vicky, otra vez. So in this video, we're going to look at those pesky pronouns. Pronouns are, there are certain things in Spanish that, I've been teaching Spanish for over 20 years. And people all have the same problems. The things that always cause problems are ser and estar and pronouns. Also the past tenses. There's certain things where if you finding something quite difficult about Spanish, don't think it's just you. In my experience, people have the same non-Spanish, English-speaking people, or the students that I've taught, they all have similar problems. And big one is ser and estar, of course. And pronouns is probably a close second, if not even more. Por and para is another one. There's certain sticking points with Spanish. And of course, pronouns are another one. So in all my books, well, from level 2 onwards, we don't do any pronouns in level 1. But at the end of this video, you will see all the books that I can offer that are available on Amazon that go through Spanish step by step with English explanations. And I start with pronouns in level 2, and then from level 2 onwards, we start really sort of, looking into pronouns. What's a pronoun, you're probably thinking? A lot of people don't even know what a pronoun is. I had to learn all these things when I started teaching, because I don't think at school we're taught really the grammar in such depth, are we? So you think, oh my God, what's a pronoun? But anyway, basically, like everything in grammar, pronoun is a complicated word to describe something quite simple, really. So a pronoun is what we would use to replace a noun. In other words, so that we don't have to keep repeating someone's name. Once it's made clear who or what we're talking about, we replace it with pronouns like it or him or her or us. Or, so they're direct object pronouns. Now, I'm aware that I might be frightening you to death as I'm saying this, but it's really not as complicated as that. But this top tip, of course, is in level 3. So if once you've got to level 3, you will have an understanding of pronouns if you followed my books anyway, because they are explained gradually. Hopefully not too painfully. Level 2 is when we really get into the pronouns big time. And then level 3 and 4, we just sort of use them really. So now in this top tip, so in all my books, there are top tips. These are the top tips in level 3. And number 7, top tip, if you have the book, it's on page 46. But not having the book won't affect you getting something hopefully out of this video. But really, basically, it's just a summary of all the different pronouns. So we have what are called subject pronouns. So that's, again, sounds complicated, doesn't it? But it's not in English. It's just I, you, he, she, it, we, use, they. And in Spanish, it's yo, tú, él, ella, nosotros, or nosotras, nosotras, or vosotros, vosotras, or ellos, or ellas. And an example would be, yo soy profesora, I am a teacher. Then you've got possessive pronouns. Basically, all that means is how we describe things that belong to us. So, like in English, it would be my, your, his, her, belonging to them. Our, belonging to us. Your, belonging to yous, plural. And their, belonging to them. Yeah, it's their car, for example. So let's have an example. Son vuestros hijos? Are they your children? Talking to more than one person. Then we've got the good old reflexive pronouns. Now, these are always confusing because in English, we don't have reflexive verbs. But if you don't know anything about reflexive verbs, you need the level 2 of my my series of books. Reflexive verbs are explained in level 2. And that is when we do things to ourselves. So in English, it'd be myself. Yeah, I wash myself, or uh, you call yourself, or he gets himself up. Things that we do to ourselves are reflexive verbs. So, and the reflexive verbs in Spanish would be me, te, se, nos, os, se. But as I say, for a full explanation of reflexive verbs, you need level 2 book or video, because it will be a video on this channel. And an example might be, they invited us yesterday. The other thing to remember about pronouns is, in English, we put the pronouns at the end of the sentence. They invited us. But in Spanish, if it's conjugated verb, they go in front of the verb. Nos invitaron ayer. Us, they invited yesterday. So that's the other thing that blows people's minds, is the order of pronouns. The way we place them in the sentence is completely different. Then we've got direct, an example would be, te duchabas cada día. You used to have a shower every day. Ducharse is to shower yourself, to have a shower. Okay, next example. Oh, sorry, the example that I gave you earlier was the example for direct object pronouns, things that other people did to us or to something else. So in English, they would be me, you, him, her, use, them. And in Spanish, they would be me, te, lo or la, nos, os, los or las. Now, it's the other difficult thing about these pronouns. They're quite similar, so sometimes it's difficult to identify. Is it a reflexive pronoun? Is it a direct object pronoun? But as I said, there's lots of practice in the books. We start with pronouns, in the level 2 book. Everything starts getting serious in the level 2 book. If you know some Spanish already, present tense, for example, simple conversations, but you don't know about past tenses, pronouns, level 2 is a very important book because it's got most of the meat and bones of Spanish in it. And then we've got what I call para or por pronouns. So pronouns that go with por or go with para. So for example, in English, they're the same as most of the other pronouns. They don't really change, but in Spanish, they're slightly different. So if you were saying it's for me, you would say es para mí, not me. You know, we've got used to, as we've gone through those pronouns, me being me, simple as that. But when it comes to por and para, it's me as in M-I, or T-I. It's para ti, for you, not para tu, not para te, ti. So yeah, the por or para pronouns are me, ti, él, ella, nosotros, nosotras, vosotros, vosotras, or ellos, or ellas. And the last lot, you'll be glad to hear. As I say, it sounds much more complicated as it is. In my books, there's a lot of practice with pronouns, translations using pronouns, sentences to translate, etc., till hopefully you get the hang of it. And don't forget, in the back of the book, there are the answers, so you can check your answers. My recommendation is to just keep doing those exercises until you can do them once a week, until you can do them without looking in the back and get them right, because it just takes time getting used to. So then our last lot in the summary here in the level 3 book are indirect object pronouns. So whereas a direct object pronoun is something that's directly, whatever the verb is in the sentence, who that verb is aimed towards, that's the direct object. So for example, I bought a book, or the book is what I bought. So the verb is bought, the thing I bought is a book. So that's the direct object. So when I say I bought it, I say lo compré. Yeah. Now, an indirect object would be who I bought it for. It's where it's going after that. After you've bought the item or you've the first action on the thing or the person. So if I was saying, I bought a book for you, I'd say te. If I was saying I bought it for you, I'd say te lo compré. For you, it, I bought. And the indirect object pronouns are virtually identical to the direct object pronouns. The only ones that are different are third person singular, third person plural. Me, te, le, nos, os, les. Now, do you need to have a go and have a lie down in a dark room after that? I think I do. So the pronouns are confusing. They are confusing. I would be lying if I said that pronouns are easy. They're not easy. They're difícil, muy difícil. But, you know, you can, through practice and just repetition, you know, I've been there where you are now trying to grapple with pronouns or whatever it is you're trying to grapple with, Sarah Nesta, preterite, tense, por and para. I've been there and I can tell you, you do get through it. But, you know, it's not an instant thing. That's the other thing to remember about learning a language, not just Spanish. It's not an overnight thing. You don't just do 4 weeks of classes and that's it. You know, magically you're fluent. It takes years. It does. It almost never ends, really. Obviously, you get to a certain point where you can have a conversation, but there'll always be some words that you don't know. There'll always be times when you get a bit panicky and you can't fish out the word. You know, so be kind to yourself. Don't expect miracles. Okay, so yeah, don't forget, stay on the line, see what books are available, all available on Amazon, any Amazon site, all with explanations in English and all with the answers in the back. So, gracias por ver mi video y te veo muy pronto en el próximo video. Y hasta entonces, que tu Dios vaya contigo. Gracias.